it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, August 5th. So today we have the moon in Aries all day, which means that essentially, emotionally, intuitively, we're kind of starting fresh. The Aries energy being the first sign of the zodiac, and of course the moon representing our emotions, our intuition, our unconscious self. We definitely have this impulse to kind of rip the band-aids off, to kind of rip the rear view mirror off. We're tired of looking back. We're tired of examining the pain and trauma. We kind of just want to make a move. We want to move forward. We want to take action. We want to start fresh. We want to renew ourselves, so to speak. And that fiery energy coming from that Aries energy that the moon is sitting in is definitely firing us up to kind of burn away the cords, the connections that we've been sitting in, kind of, dealing with the funk. We're burning through that. We're burning things down in order to light the spark, the fire, the flame within ourselves once again. It's a very difficult point in the calendar because we are kind of ending and closing chapters, and this is why many of us are feeling down and frustrated and confused. However, this moon in Aries is definitely going to give us the kick in the butt that we kind of need in order to reorient ourselves on a path, on a direction that we may not have clarity on, but that we're trying to hype ourselves up to actually move forward and pursue. So there are 8 different aspects here today. All 8 of them involve the moon, which means that we are having another moon day. Of course, yesterday we didn't have a moon day because we had the sun and Neptune kind of pop off, creating a lot of confusion, a lot of inability to focus and concentrate and really kind of build ourselves up. But now we're back to another moon day, which means that this is a point in time where we have to kind of move in our inner realm and emotionally refine what it is that we are currently experiencing. And we're doing this because, again, we are closing out a cycle, a chapter. We are awaiting what many people are calling the Lionsgate portal on 8/8, even though there's actually no astrological significant value to that particular day at all. But because the general collective is kind of focused on that particular day as some kind of change in vibration and frequency, there should be, because of the concentrated energy and focus of the collective, there should be a reverberatory effect. Of course, the most potent of days is going to be around the 12th, the 13th, specifically because, of course, the sun and the dog star Sirius are going to align. That's kind of where the whole Lionsgate 8/8 whole portal thing came from. But now in the New Age community, of course, we just toss that around like it's a thing every year, and it's not. Anywho, I digress. We are going to see more energy, more shifting, more of the endings and closures and the beginnings and initiations around the 12th and 13th, specifically the 12th for the Sun and Sirius conjunction, the 13th for Venus's rebirth, her resurrection. Yes, she is at her midpoint in her retrograde, and she is being brought back to life, so to speak, as the morning star. And that means that we are all going to go through a rebirth and resurrection. But again, giving birth to a new version of self is not easy, definitely requiring a lot more willpower than many of us have at this particular point in time. But if you were to visualize this week as kind of the final push, as if we were giving birth to a child, to life, to creation, this is where we're exhausted. This is where we don't think we can do it. This is where we just don't know why we got ourselves in this situation in the first place. And so we do have to hunker down, really kind of align with as much willpower as we can for this final push. So that is a lot of the reason of why people are kind of down on themselves and depressed and confused, and people seem to not realize that we have the majority of planets in a retrograde, which means there is no forward motion. There is only reflection back in order to pluck out the silver linings and the pieces of the information and knowledge that we've already gained from our experiences in order to kind of trigger and activate a hint and a clue on where it is that we want to go forward from here. So there's a lot going on, let's just say. So with 8 different aspects, all 8 involving the moon, again, we are in the mood to kind of, build ourselves back up, to fire ourselves up, to kind of, stop dealing with the emotional funk that we've been sitting in since the full moon in Aquarius, technically, and then followed by, the moon moving into Pisces with all those moon days. That is why many of us have reached the darkest point. And when we talk about the darkest point, we have to understand that Venus is at the darkest point of her retrograde journey, awaiting that rebirth, that resurrection. So piece it together. There's a reason why we're in this funk. We're all in this together, but we have to stop kind of applying so much pressure on ourselves to have it all figured out, and to stop really beating ourselves up for some of the darker thoughts and emotions that we're currently moving through and processing. It's all part of the process. So let's give ourselves a little bit of grace. The moon in Aries is going to kick off the day with a positive interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, who is retrograde in the heart and soul of the zodiac in this Leo energy. This is a positive interaction, which means that we should have a little bit more aggression, if you will, more passion, more desire to kind of draw the line in the sand with what it is that we are currently trying to sort through and process. And as far as Venus is concerned, we are kind of reprioritizing our values, who and what needs to stay, needs to go. We, at this particular point, have been a little bit somber, a little bit in the sadness of having to let go of old version of self and the constructs of the reality and the relationship dynamics that our ego self has built. Now we're kind of moving into the last phase, like I mentioned, of her death, of her ending, of her closure before she's resurrected and kind of rebirthed once again on the 13th, which means that we are definitely realizing that we can't just sit around and cry about things anymore. We actually have to identify problems. And when we identify those problems, we have to actually take action on resolving those problems. Because, of course, once you know better, you have to do better. So the moon is kind of giving us this spark, this fire, this flame, this aggression, this passion, this desire in order to stay motivated and inspired to kind of cut the head off the snake, so to speak, so that we can clean the slate and start building towards something new and something fresh. The moon will interact with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in this Pisces energy, giving us a good go, really kind of flushing us out of some of the shadow realm elements that we've accumulated over the past 30 years of our experience. Now, granted, we're not all closing out 30-year cycles. If you're not 30 years old, how can you close out a cycle before you were even born? But Saturn himself is going through a little bit of an ending and a closure in this Pisces energy, and therefore all of our Saturn placements, wherever that arrives in your chart, that is being activated, that is being cleansed, that is being purged, that is being healed, that is being reconstructed in order for us to kind of build ourselves back up in a better way, especially where our dreams are concerned, where our faith is concerned, where our spirituality is concerned. We're releasing a lot of the pain and the trauma is concerned as well. So the moon interacting with Saturn in this way is definitely bringing us down to earth just a little tiny bit, where the moon in Aries is kind of, stomping on the gas pedal. We have Saturn really firmly having his heavy foot on the brakes. And so what you can kind of expect is a lot of smoke, a lot of fog, a lot of confusion. Now, realistically, we are coming down to a logical, practical way of sorting through our feelings. And this moon in Aries energy, again, helping us to burn through, burn off, kind of burn down the connections, the cords that we are recognizing are holding us back, keeping us very, very connected to the past, when all we really want to do is break away, start building towards the future. Saturn, being the tough love life lesson giver of the zodiac, really wants us to kind of slow down, refine the process. Don't jump over things, because again, as I mentioned, if you go out of your way to avoid what it is that you're supposed to be cleaning up and healing right now, when you find yourself in a favorable position over the next couple of months, that is when karma is going to come back and bite your ass. Do we want that? No. We want to get to a point in time where, things are working and where we can enjoy ourselves and where we can celebrate that, which means that you have to do the work now. So we're definitely given a little bit of a reality check, a little bit of a bitch slap of truth, if you will, on where it is that we have to take a slow and steady approach to burning through, burning away, burning down some of the emotions that we're recognizing are not serving us, are not supporting us, not encouraging us to move forward. The moon in Aries will semi-square, creating a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict with Uranus in order for a major change to take place. And of course, Uranus, the great awakener, always trying to throw curveballs at us, download us with insights, with inspiration, with aha moments, with epiphanies, so that we can see where it is that we've been kind of too cold, too rigid in processing new methods, new ways of going about things, new ways of looking at things. This particular energy definitely going to kick off a spark on what it is that we're maybe frustrated with, what we're tired of banging our head against a wall about. Of course, Uranus in this Taurus energy, a very low, slow, steady approach to what it is that we need to change in our physical realms. But nonetheless, Uranus is here to push us for more independence, for more freedom, for more of, I'm going to say, a space creation where change, aligning with the higher self, is more the avenue where we're trying to go, instead of trying to work so hard to keep some of the old realm elements alive and well. Many of us not even realize how much energy and effort we're putting into keeping the old alive, when many of us never had a little even intent of experiencing some of the things that we're desperately holding on to. And, you know, one of the most important lessons is to recognize where it is that you've outgrown certain aspects of yourself, of your relationship dynamics, of, you know, certain aspects in our lives. This is the point where you need to realize where it is that you're holding on to dead weight and make the choice to let it go, to lighten the vibe, to free up the space, for you to kind of make a pivot point on where it is that a major change is needed in your physical realm. The moon is going to interact with Venus once again, this time a different kind of interaction, not a negative one, not a positive one, just a neutral observation on what it is that we still have on our plate to kind of sort through, process, if you will. Again, just keep in mind that we will be different people by the time Venus does go direct early September. Because when you change the way that you look at things, when you change your perspective, you change your understanding, when you change your inner realm, the exterior realm changes because of that. Even more than that, we are reprioritizing who and what is worthy and deserving of our time, our love, our attention. That changes a person. And essentially speaking, we are bossing up in our self-worth and our self-confidence, because we are about to reemerge as the most authentic version of ourselves than we've been able to be thus far in our life path. So this is a realization where it is that we have to keep the fire lit. We have to keep the momentum going. We have to be motivated, determined, and inspired to do the hard work that Venus is currently doing in the underworld, sorting through the shadow realm of her experiences, in order for us to kind of clear that gunk away and, again, have the opportunity to start fresh with a clean slate when Venus gets reborn on the 13th. The moon is going to interact with Mercury in such a way that is going to provide us with an observation on where the distance, where the gap between our heart space and between our head space, what that actually is. So Mercury being the ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, in his place of power in this Virgo energy, focused on the smaller details of our physical realm, of what is broken, what isn't working, what needs to be improved, what needs to be kind of put into its place. Wherever we are experiencing chaos, the Mercury in Virgo energy is trying to create order. And so, you know, the moon in Aries is really quick to kind of take action, to make moves. We're not really thinking long term about the consequences of our actions, or, you know, the variables of the options and opportunities that we have available. The gap, the distance that we are going to be illuminated to, is where there's an overwhelming desire, impulse to just make a move, take an action, express oneself without filtering. And the Mercury in Virgo energy, not having any of that. We are so calculated, so strategic with our words, with our energy, with our effort. There's no chance in hell we are going to allow ourselves to act on impulse without thinking very carefully, very thoroughly on what all of the different outcomes and consequences may be. And so our heart, moon space, and head, Mercury, they're not on the same page at all. They're in totally different realms, different books, different chapters. And we are going to be illuminated with this aspect on what we can do to try and meet each other in the middle. The moon is then going to interact with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who is retrograde in Capricorn energy, in a very positive way. What this is going to do is it's going to shift our inner realm. Pluto is about transformation. The moon is our emotional realm, the Aries energy, very quick, very fired up to kind of burn through the connections, the cord, the bridges that are connecting us to the past. Of course, we still have a lot of processing to do as far as the past is concerned because of all these retrograde planets, but nonetheless, the funk that we've been sitting in is getting lighter. It is getting brighter. All of this energy, this Aries energy, it's a cardinal sign. We're initiating, we're taking the leadership, we're changing, we're pivoting, we're changing direction, ideas, all of this stuff. But as you know, the change needs to happen in our inner realm. First and foremost, our heart needs to feel it, our head needs to agree with it, then we can engage the physical body to take action, make moves in the exterior realm to mirror back to us what it is that we've already arrived at in our inner realm. So this is going to be a very intense, very, I'm going to say passionate, very extreme shift in mood and attitude, which I think we could all use right about now. The moon in Aries is going to trine, which is a beautiful energy, with the sun, who of course is in his place of power in Leo energy. This is fire on fire action. What do we know about fire? Fire burns down, burns away, burns the past, the bridge, the connection, the cord, however you want to look at it. There is a disintegration, if you will, with this energetic cord that we've been connected to, keeping the funk alive. That fire energy is rejuvenating, regenerative. Think of a volcano. That lava spews out of it. It scorches the land around the volcano. And what happens to that land? It grows back even more vibrant, even more plush than it was before it got torched. This fire energy is exciting. It's passionate. It's intense. It creates a fire, a spark, a flame, where new ideas, new emotions, new inspirations put us in a mind frame to be motivated and determined to continue to push forward. We're tapping into the impulse of Aries energy, the leadership qualities of Aries energy. We're also tapping into the boldness, the bravery, the courage of Leo the lion in order for us to stand up, stand in our power, stand in our truth, in our mission, in our purpose, and just understand that we have to continue to push ourselves, motivate, inspire ourselves, continue that fire, that flame to push us into a new path, into a new direction. The moon is going to interact with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings in such a way that is going to illuminate for us where there's new ideas, where there's a new spark of interest, a new excitement, a new passion, a new desire to actually create a new opportunity, considering the fact that Jupiter is in Taurus energy until May of 2024, giving us an opportunity to rebuild, reconstruct, redesign our physical realms in order to align more with our higher self than our ego self that, of course, has built the circumstances that many of us are currently trying to deconstruct and get away from. This particular interaction does kind of bring our optimism back up. It brings our faith back up. It brings our ability to think positively with clarity, with confidence back up. It's really pushing us into trying to rev our own engines up, keep that spark, that fire, that flame lit inside of us in order for us to see where it is that we have an opportunity to bust away from our comfort zone, to start something new, initiate something new, bring something new to life that, of course, in the long term will have us reaping the rewards of the opportunities that we are about to bring to life, to create, to bring into manifestation. So this particular interaction is definitely showing us where there is a sudden shift, especially after, interacting with Pluto and having that internalized transformation. We're definitely starting to see the shift in our emotions, in our mental plane, in our mood, in our attitude to orient to really trying to clearly define what it is that we want to move forward and actually pursue.